Richard Speck, 8 Hours of Terror on hard copy.
Now, Dana Tyler, Reggie Harris, Rock Road with sports, and Mr. G with weather. The first team. This is Channel 2 News, Sunday.
Good evening, I'm Reggie Harris. Thanks for staying up with us tonight.
And I'm Dana Tyler. Here's what's happening. Dozens of striking daily news workers today went to work on a new paper called The Real News. It's now being published to spell out the union side of a strike that's 18 days old. And as Ren Scott reports, the new paper hit the streets as a former daily news fixture prepared his first column for the Post.
For 2.5 years, Mike McAlery has been living his childhood dream, writing one of the lead columns for the Daily News. But today he took his writing talents and he hopes his sizable following to the rival New York Post.
I've written a column for the Daily News that stuck up for working class people, and for me to go and work for that paper while they were breaking up families would be hypocritical.
Yesterday, the Post also picked up 13 full-page advertisements from Alexander's, for years one of the biggest advertisers in the Daily News. The Post circulation has increased by nearly 50% since the strike began. Post editor Jerry Nachman says, as a veteran newsman, he hates to see the struggles at the Daily News, but he is happy to have a columnist with McAlery's reputation.
Clearly, a lot of normal Daily News readers have been with us over the last couple of weeks. So as of tomorrow, they're going to find one more familiar thing in the paper they've been testing or sampling.
On the newsstand, the Daily News is still very hard to find, although management maintains circulation is up over last Sunday. And this afternoon, union workers began handing out 1 million free copies of what they call The Real News, an 8-page newspaper written by striking Daily News reporters.
The reporters from the news that are on strike are in this paper, The Real News, and they're telling our side of the story.
Daily News! Meanwhile, in Manhattan today, Daily News management continued hiring street hawkers to sell the paper and denied claims that they are recruiting homeless people and putting them in dangerous situations.
Some of them may be homeless, but we, the Daily News, are not going into homeless shelters and seeking homeless individuals to hawk the newspaper.
In Manhattan, I'm Ren Scott, Channel 2 News.
We'll have more on the Daily News strike tomorrow, beginning with Channel 2 News at noon. Reggie?
Tonight, leaders of New York's black community are asking the city's financial community to help resurrect Freedom National Bank. The nation's fourth largest black-owned bank was declared insolvent and closed on Friday. Today, community leaders came up with a price tag to bail out the bank.
There remains a glimmer of hope that Freedom National Bank can be reestablished with a minimum of $6 million of new capital. We call on any and everyone of goodwill who senses the value of Freedom's presence in the New York community to provide financial support in this effort.
On Tuesday, the FDIC is scheduled to begin reimbursing depositors who have holdings of up to $100,000.
Money, or the lack of it, is on the minds of the mayors of America's biggest cities tonight. They're gathering for an urban summit in New York. And as Troy Roberts reports, they're hoping their combined voices are heard in Washington.
In these uncertain times, Mayor Dinkins is finding some comfort in numbers. 36 mayors from across the country answered his call for an urban summit and packed Gracie Mansion tonight to discuss their city's common problems: unemployment, homelessness, health care, and a cold shoulder from the federal government.
So often the federal government says somehow their policies would somehow trickle down to us and give us some support. The only thing we've got is we feel more like we've been trickled on rather than trickled down.
If you feel like you're experiencing deja vu, it's because it was just 6 months ago that the mayors got together to discuss the same problems and arrived at the same conclusion. If the cities are to survive, they're going to need more help from the federal government. But Congress told the mayors to look for help elsewhere.
We don't accept no for an answer so readily, and I think we've got an argument to make that the nation needs our cities.
Of all the mayors attending the two-day summit, David Dinkins may have the most at stake. After strong growth in the 80s, New York City now has a projected revenue shortfall of $1.7 billion over the next 2 budget years, and federal funds are shriveling.
Mayors have traditionally had the approach of going to Washington with a tin cup in their hand, begging for crumbs. Well, we have to try a different approach.
Even if the federal government does come to the rescue soon, it won't be in time to solve our country's immediate urban problems. The mayors will have to resort to their own devices to keep their hometowns running. How long they'll be able to keep doing that is the more difficult question. In Manhattan, Troy Roberts, Channel 2 News.
We have a lot more still ahead, including a story of courage that captured the hearts of millions.
Stormy Jones, the world's first heart-liver transplant patient, has died. We'll have her story. And we'll have this.
I'm Mary Murphy in Franklin, Michigan, where a millionaire's daughter left home to become a New York school teacher, now accused in Westchester County's real-life fatal attraction murder case.
Channel 2 News Sunday sponsored by Mercedes-Benz, like no other car in the world.
Amtrak has the best priced views of America. Whether you travel in any one region, or two regions, or all three regions of the country, Amtrak's All Aboard America fares take up to 45 days, take 3 stopovers, and take your camera.
Dolly Parton, Madonna, Don Johnson, and more. Ever wonder what the stars were like in high school?
For Geraldo's friends, I want to know some smut.
High school friends of celebrities tell all next Geraldo, Monday at 4 on Channel 2.
First moment we set foot on the Cayman Islands, we were relaxed vacationers, not tourists.
Cayman Airways, the only nonstops to the Cayman Islands.
Rocky V is the end of the line for Sylvester Stallone's beloved Italian stallion, but only entertainment tonight was there when he actually said goodbye.
I can't really bring any more to Rocky. I really can't.
In an incredible exclusive interview, you'll go on the set of the last day of the filming of The Last Rocky to see movie history in the making.
I will become extremely depressed when this hits.
Stallone struggles to hang up the boxing gloves for good, exclusively on Entertainment Tonight.
Monday at 7:30 on Channel 2.
Tonight, the world could be one step closer to using force against Saddam Hussein. China has announced it will not block a UN Security Council resolution to authorize military action if it becomes necessary. Meantime, Iraq said it would attend a proposed Arab summit if the agenda includes talk of the Arab-Israeli conflict. Here at home, some families of U.S. service personnel serving in Saudi Arabia are pushing for a peaceful solution. They formed a military family support network to lobby against the use of force.
Because I have a son in Saudi Arabia who I love very much, and I want him home. I want him to come home safe.
And tonight, a new Gallup poll reports 65% of New Yorkers surveyed believe the U.S. will eventually go to war with Iraq. Dana?
Across America, this Veterans Day weekend is a time to honor those who have already answered their country's call to arms. In Westbury, Long Island, drummers kept the cadence for a 4-mile march along Merrick Avenue. 1,000 people, dozens of bands, and regular Army units were in the parade. And in Manhattan, veterans helped change the name of Intrepid Plaza to Armed Forces Plaza. Floral wreaths in the Hudson River honored the nation's war dead.
13-year-old Stormy Jones, who received the world's first heart-lung transplant, died unexpectedly this morning. Stormy had flu symptoms when her mother took her from Dallas to Children's Hospital in Pittsburgh last night. But her health faded quickly, and doctors believe a heart infection took her life this morning. Stormy had lived through 2 transplants, a heart-liver operation when she was just 6, and a second liver transplant earlier this year.
When we come back, Big Blue runs over the Rams in Anaheim. How do you stop those Giants? Well, don't ask L.A. for the answer. Rock will have the day sports.
Plus, romance on the Great White Way. Dennis Cunningham reviews Shadowlands. Up
now that's the novel Commander love.
Nobody is putting quality on the road like Cadillac.
winner of the 1990 Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award. In fact, Cadillac is the first and only car company to earn this coveted award from the United States Department of Commerce for its world-class achievements in satisfying the customer. So in a very real way, Cadillac's success is also a victory for the American consumer. Another reason why the only way to travel is Cadillac style.
Cadillac style. People that come on to my subway are coming into my house.
I love the city. I was raised here. I was born here.
It wouldn't be no New York without the subway.
I haven't given up, but I think we have to really get tough.
I'm not giving up. My cops aren't giving up, and New Yorkers shouldn't give up.
I feel New York is a community.
People come to my subway station. When they see me, they know they're going to be all right.
I'm here to help. I'm here to stay.
Most women think it could never happen to them. Yet 1/3 of all pregnancies end in miscarriage.
I left the hospital with empty arms and an absolutely broken heart.
Wednesday, 60 Minutes correspondent Meredith Vieira shares her personal experience with miscarriage.
I felt overwhelming loss.
Dr. Frank Field has some good news on the miscarriage mystery.
It didn't have a name, but it was a baby.
Wednesday at 5 and 11 on Channel 2 News, the first team.
Wait, bye-bye.
Tonight's Channel 2 Sports Report sponsored by Eastern Airlines.
Eastern would like to explain the concept behind our new corporate rates. It's really quite simple. You get the same coach ticket that puts you back here on other airlines, except you sit up here in first class. So for what it costs to fly back here on them, you can fly up here on Eastern in our new first class section, which is twice the size of our old first class section. Up here for the price of back here. Only offered here.
Rock's here now, and the Giants are money in the bank this year, huh?
You're right. I couldn't have said it better myself. Stop the press as the Giants are off to their best start in franchise history, folks. Today they posted the most lopsided victory of the season as the Big Blue blew away the Rams. Second quarter action, the 3-zip Giants, Phil Simms, who completed 19 of 26, hits the big man, Mark Bavaro. Giants took a 10-0 lead into the halftime locker room. Third quarter, after the Rams cut the lead to 3, it was Rodney Hampton showing his stuff in this nifty 19-yard TD run. Anderson and Tillman scored later, give the Giants a 31-7 victory over the team that knocked them out of last year's playoffs. The Giants' record 9-0 and counting. What a day for punter Sean Landeta. He put 3 of his 5 punts inside the LA 5-yard line today. Well, it was a punt that undid the Jets today against the Miami Dolphins. On a windy day at the Meadowlands, the ball does funny things, folks, and that it did. After fighting to a 3-3 halftime tie, let's look at this Reggie Roby punt. Goes off of James Hasty's leg. Free ball. Miami knew it. They recover it. Very next play, guess what? Air Marino drops back, delivers a bullet to Tony Page. Zip. Jets never recovered as the Dolphins won at 17-3. After the game, Coach Kosler talked about the blown punt.
When a punt like that is short, and we didn't get the call made. Quite frankly, the guy that Hasty was blocking shoved him, and the ball just happened to come down. That was a mistake on our part.
Like it is. Elsewhere, the Bills crushed the Cardinals. The Bears turned 4 Falcon interceptions into a victory. The Vikings spoiled Andre Ware's first professional start. Last second, Dave Craig TD pass overshadows a record 7 sacks by KC linebacker Derek Thomas. The Saints bounced the Bucs. Indy came back to edge New England. The Packers snapped the Raiders' 11-game home win streak. The Chargers keep proving they are for real. And the Niners kept their record unblemished, beating the Cowboys tonight. Well, on the ice tonight, 2 of the top teams in the NHL as the Rangers hosted the Calgary Flames. Out to the Garden we go. Second period action, tied at 3 with the Broadway Blues would take the lead. Mike Gardner sends a rocket past Mike Vernon, make it 4-3, Gardner's 10th goal of the season. But just 3 minutes later, the Flames respond. Watch Richter make the initial save on Priakin, but the puck gets loose. There it is, loose puck, get it! Joe Otto scores! It was shutout time from there on as both teams skated to a 4-4 tie. Well, the Knicks try and make it a perfect 3-0 on the road this year. No easy task as they're taking on the Lakers as we speak. Here's the latest from the Great Western Forum. Second quarter, Lakers looking at triple team Ewing. That they did. Ball bobbles loose and Cheeks there gets the hoop. Patrick says, serves you right, guys. Later in the quarter, Ewing. Not denied on that one. Rocks the rim. Knicks lead 52-51 right now at halftime. Finally, Darryl Strawberry's back in the news. Specifically, the New York Newsday, which reveals today several Met players say the Big D resumed drinking less than 6 months after going through alcohol rehab. Coming up on Sports Update, I'll talk with the man who broke the story, sports writer Marty Noble. Don't miss it. I'm rocking that sports.
Okay, look forward to it. Thanks, Rob.
It was a hit in London, and now Shadowlands is trying to make it big on Broadway. It's a love story of the best kind because it's true. And entertainment editor Dennis Cunningham joins us now with a review. Dennis.
Dana, thank you. Yes, it is true, and it is a love story, though it may sound like an unlikely one. I mean, a love between an American lady who comes to England to visit her favorite author as her husband is divorcing her back home, and that author, C.S. Lewis, renowned both for his children's books and his books on Christian belief.
If God loves us, why does he allow us to suffer so much? War, pestilence, famine, this is this morning's paper.
Shadowlands, as author C.S. Lewis explains, is human life. It's where we live, in shadows. Lewis was a renowned expert in his views on our lives and the ways of God, and among other things, why suffering exists. He was also an Oxford professor, a comfortable middle-aged bachelor who wrote forcefully but who lived a quiet, protected life with little experience outside Oxford. Until a New Yorker named Joy Davidman comes to visit.
Your letters have been the most important thing in my life.
Actress Jane Alexander gives a fine and touching performance as the lady who comes to marry C.S. Lewis and awaken him to full life, full experience, and a true test of his writings when she begins to die of bone cancer. Nigel Hawthorne offers an outstanding performance as Lewis, but William Nicholson's play comes up slightly lacking, not because it's far more about ideas and less about emotions, though that's no help, but because it opens with great promise and thrilling ideas, and then it gets more and more narrow as it goes along. So it's an admirable play with fine performances, but though it's a play about suffering and love and hope, it still manages to remain somehow remote. So I guess that's the operative word.
Now? Go or no?
It's kind of in the middle, heading toward down.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Hedge.
Well, still ahead on this Sunday night, is it too early to say the S word? Mr. G will tell us if we'll see a flurry or two tomorrow.
Plus, was it a real-life attraction that had fatal consequences? A New York teacher is charged with killing her lover's wife. We'll have a true story with a deadly ending.
There is an easier way to fix your car. Get a Civic 4-door from Honda.
Presenting the first cinema in which you select a film from among more than 50 titles available, in which you sit in these huge sleeper seats and snack on canapes, lobster bavarois, and fine wines. Furthermore, there are no teenagers chomping popcorn, and there is no gum on the floor. We'd like to say that this is the most luxurious cinema on earth, but we can't. It's at 35,000 feet en route to London in the business class known as Virgin Atlantic's upper class.
Virgin Atlantic Airways, the entertainment capital of the sky.
Going that extra mile, giving it all we got. The extra we do, we're doing for you. You can expect a lot. Food Town, expect the extras. Food Town's extra savings means shopping with a smile. Expect the extra freshness. It's Food Town's extraordinary style. Expect the extras at Food Town.
1, 2, 3, 4.
There's a great view feeling at the top of the boardwalk. The new Showboat Casino Hotel in Atlantic City.
All right, will we get flurries?
Oh, will we? I thought you were going to ask me to go to dinner. Will we? No, the big story is the cold air coming in the tri-state area has arrived. We'll get colder. So let's go outside in the Midtown area. And will we? Yes, we will see the trees dance tonight. The wind is humming. Look at the gust, up to 38 miles per hour. The barometer right now is beginning to fall, and it is mostly cloudy in the Midtown area. All right, my friends, cold air has a lot of muscle, a lot of punch, and it's really doing it across the Great Lakes right to the middle Atlantic states. Here comes the Arctic air spilling across from Buffalo to the city, and we're going to do it twice, starting with tomorrow. Cold, a flake or two, There's always a flake or two around, but temps will be in the low to mid-40s. And then for Tuesday, ditto. Temperatures will be in the low 40s as well. A cold shot for the next 48 hours. And at the William Lloyd Garrison School, my good buddy Anthony Williams. There he is. Look at that. Monday, today's weather. Anthony doing the forecast. Anthony, bundle up. You're going to need it. A few flurries all around the tri-state area. 35 to 40, and everybody does a burr. North and west, 30 to 35. Looking ahead to tomorrow, a mixture of sun and clouds and windy and cold and temperatures between 40 and 45 degrees. Now, the good news. The normal should be 56. Dana, we do low 40s on Tuesday. Wednesday, we do the low 40s. Thursday, we do the low 50s. Friday, we do lunch. And the golden sunshine and deep blue skies. Temperatures on Friday right around 60 degrees.
And no names for those flakes either,
That's it.
right? Thanks, Mr. G.
It's a case of life imitating art, but in this case, there are no stars, only charges. Right now in New York, a 26-year-old woman stands accused of murder in what police are calling a real-life case of fatal attraction. A former Westchester County school teacher is charged with pumping 9 bullets into her lover's wife before meeting him for sex. The story is sordid, sad, and police say is true. Mary Murphy has the story in part 1 of her special report.
She came from a world of town cars and private jets, but Carolyn Warmis chose a school teacher's life in Westchester County. He was the co-worker who struggled to make payments on a Scarsdale condo, 40-year-old Paul Solomon, husband, father, basketball coach. And this was Solomon's wife, Betty Jean, who died on her living room floor with 9 bullets in her back and legs on January 15, 1989. Neighbor Jenny Bretschneider remembers the wake.
He was hysterical. He was absolutely hysterical. I've never seen him like that before.
I remember thinking it was odd how long it took him to really pull himself together. But, you know, and thinking there's more to this story.
Much more than Joyce Green could imagine. For the man who had married her sister 19 years before was considered the prime suspect in the beginning. Forced to tell police he met another woman for sex the night of the murder. That woman was 25-year-old Carolyn Warmis. Like him, a teacher at the Greenville Elementary School. A woman who became Solomon's friend and then his lover, even joining his family at home for dinner.
You know, she sort of kidded about how she thought that Carolyn might have a crush on Paul. And she laughed.
On the night Betty Jean Solomon was killed, Paul Solomon agreed to meet Warmis for a belated birthday celebration. He told his wife he was going bowling, and police charged that soon after Solomon left, Carolyn Warmis crept up the steps to the family's apartment, pumped the fatal bullets into Betty Jean Solomon's body, then drove to a Holiday Inn bar 5 miles away for a rendezvous with Solomon. Warmis herself talked of a parking lot encounter in a police statement 2 days later. Quote, "We had sexual activity in my car." In the months that followed, police monitored what appeared to be Warmis's obsession with Paul Solomon, which led them to now focus on her as the prime suspect. They began mounting evidence against her, including her link to a Manhattan private eye.
That's the link. I knew there was a link between all of these stupid things.
A trace of Warmis's telephone records revealed she had dealings in New York City with private investigator Vincent Parco, who finally admitted providing Warmis with a .25 caliber handgun a few days before the murder, helping her to secure an illegal silencer as well. Parco's testimony to a grand jury helped prosecutors get a murder indictment against Warmis 1 year after the killing, but he won't be charged for providing the gun. Parco allowed us to photograph him, but as a prosecution witness could not talk to us except to say,
At the trial, the truth will come out.
"And you're not worried."
No.
Another private eye who would talk about his relationship with Carolyn Warmis is Jim Russo. Russo claims he was aware of Warmis's obsessive behavior back in 1987 when she asked him to do surveillance on another lover.
He was married, yeah, and she relayed that she thought he was seeing other women besides her.
Russo says he was hired to take compromising pictures of Warmis to use against her boyfriend.
I thought I got there too early. It's just, if you take your time, get dressed. She left the room. She came back into the room, and she had gotten dressed, but it wasn't the normal attire. She was wearing negligee with a pink wig, and she says, "I'm ready."
Now, I understand that there was a conversation after you took the pictures that was kind of interesting and with interesting results. You want to tell me about that?
Basically, I was asked if I was excited, and when I replied no, she was somewhat offended, I gather.
And
we were standing pretty close to one another near the front door. I was getting ready to leave. I had a camera in one hand, a tripod in the other hand, and her knee came up into my groin.
Russo says a year later, Warmers returned to his office with a new story. She told Russo that her family was in danger and she needed protection from a mysterious woman.
She mentioned the name Betty Jean. No last name, just Betty Jean. She described the woman as, 5'2", 40-ish, brown hair. At that point, she told us she wanted a machine gun with a silencer.
Warmers' attorney maintains that all of this evidence is circumstantial and does not point to his client pulling the trigger.
The case is about who killed Betty Jean Solomon in that room with a gun.
Who do you say did it?
Not Carolyn Warmers.
You have another theory?
It's not a theory.
Lewis points out the gun in this case was never found. He will try and prove that someone was paid to kill Mrs. Solomon, and it wasn't his client. And he will offer this police note as evidence. The words of a local telephone operator who got a call from the Solomon address just after 7 p.m. the night of the murder. The operator remembered a woman screaming. It sounded like, "He's trying to kill me." Jim Russo has his own theories.
I don't think she acted alone. You hear so many stories that are coming out of the past about this girl. She had peculiar habits, but you're talking about a cold-blooded killing. You don't carry that out alone.
You're probably wondering now how Carolyn Warmers got to this point in her life, accused of murder when so many friends described her as sweet and bright and all-American. Yet others say there were signs of romantic obsessions years ago. To get a complete picture, producer Andrea Davis and I traveled to Warmers' home state of Michigan to find out more. And we'll have that tomorrow at 11.
Mary, when does the trial begin?
The actual trial is set for pretrial hearings in December, but that could always get pushed back.
Right.
Attorneys are always trying to juggle bases, you know. But
Wild
that's when
story.
it's set.
Thank you, Mary.
It is
More
a wild
tomorrow.
story. Thank you.
That is Channel 2 News Sunday. I'm Dana Tyler.
And I'm Reggie Harris. Thanks for having us in. Make it a good week.
Good night.
"50 years of four-wheel adventure created the Jeep legend. So to celebrate, we've created